So imagine you're a contractor in North Carolina, and as you're headed on your way home, your car runs out of gas. Now, you know you have a can of gas back at home, and it's only about a mile away, so you start walking. As you're walking, you realize there's a wheat field on your right that you can take a shortcut through. And as you're walking through the wheat field, you're not really looking where you're going because it's so beautiful, and suddenly you kick something really hard and it hurts. So you let fly a few expletives, and then you go searching for that hard rock in the wheat. When you find it, you're about to throw it away, but then you notice it's beautiful. It's got this deep red color, and so you pocket it and you keep walking. You find your gas can, you get your car, started and get it home, and the next day it's work as normal. Now, as you're headed home, you decide to stop at a pawn/jeweler's shop just to see if this rock you found is worth anything. So you get in the shop and you plunk the red rock down on the counter and you say, "Hey man, how much would you say this thing is worth?" The guy kind of, he kind of looks at it, looks back up at you, and he says, it's not really worth anything, but I'll give you 20 bucks for it. Now, you kind of like that rock. I mean, you like the way it sparkles. So, you pick it back up and you put it in your pocket and you start to walk out the door. And he says, "I'll give you 200 bucks. So now you're starting to get interested. You shake your head and you open the door. And he says, "I'll give you 2,000 bucks. So then you take a step out the door and he yells after you, "Wait, I'll give you $20,000. Now at this point, you're really curious. So, you come back in the shop and you close the door and you walk up to him and you say, "Come on, man, what is this thing really worth?" And he looks at you and he kind of sighs and he says, "Okay, fine. That is the largest ruby that I have ever seen. I don't know what it's worth, but it's worth more than my whole shop combined." So he looks at you and he says, "Where did you get this?" And you say, "It's mine. I found it. What does it matter where I got this?" So you leave the shop and you're driving home and you're thinking about this, and then you notice that you're passing that same field that you got the ruby from. So you stop the car and you walk out into the field. So finally you find the spot where you think the ruby is from, and you get down on your hands and knees and you start, pushing aside the wheat and looking in the dirt for anything you can find. And it's starting to get dark, so you're getting kind of tired. But just before you decide to leave, your hand settles on something that's kind of large, and it's kind of a weird shaped rock. So you pick it up, and you realize it's a circle, and it's kind of glittery, and it looks. I mean, it's starting to get dark, so you can't quite tell, but it looks like it might be gold. So you pocket that as well, and you head back to your house. Now the next day, you don't even go to work because you're a contractor, so you can set your own hours. And instead, the first chance you get, you go to that same jeweler/pawn shop, and you go inside, and it's the same guy sitting at the counter, and you plunk down. It's pretty big. It's like about that size. This thing that looks like a engraved gold disc, and you say, "How much is that worth?" And the guy, he barely looks up and he kind of glances at it and he says, it's fool's gold. I'll give you 10 bucks for it." You shake your head. And he says, "Fine, as a collector's item, I'll give you 100 bucks for it." You shake your head again. And he says, okay, fine, I'll give you $1,000 for it." And of course, you shake your head. You know it's worth more at this point. So you look at him and you ask him again, "Come on, man, tell me what it's really worth." And he kind of sighs and he says, "Okay, fine. That is an ancient Spanish coin from the 1500s. I don't know what it's worth. There's only a limited number that have ever been made. Most of them have been lost. A museum would pay through the nose for that. It's priceless. The gold in it is worth a lot, but the history, it's priceless." So at this point, of course, you're getting pretty excited. So you quickly rush back to your house, you grab a shovel, and you head back to that same field. And you look around to make sure no one's watching, and you go out and you find what you think is roughly the same space in the field, and you start digging around. And it isn't too long before, as you're digging, your shovel clunks against something solid. So you start digging around that area and pulling out the dirt and, getting down on your hands and knees. You're ripping up the wheat, and finally, you cleared enough, and you can see that it looks like a wooden box. So you manage to clear the debris enough, and finally you get the top of the wooden box uncovered, and it's pretty old, so the wood has largely rotted, and you're able to open the box, and inside it is stuffed with those same coins, hundreds of them it looks like, and huge sparkly rocks that you're almost sure are gems of some kind, and you lose it. I mean, you're running around that field, you're waving that shovel in the air, you're yelling, and then it hits you. You gotta stop drawing all this attention. So you go back and you cover up that box. You close it up, you cover it up, and you try and make it look like nothing's really been done there as much as you can. And then you head back to your car and you go home. Now you immediately go online and try and figure out who owns that field. And it's lucky for you because it appears that it's owned by a farming family, but the owner recently passed away, and they're wanting to divide the inheritance among the kids, and so they're going to need to sell the farm. And as a result, that is up for sale. You can buy it, but it's a pretty big farm, and so it's going to cost like $300,000. So what do? Well, you know what you do. You immediately go on eBay and you start selling everything you own. You put your house up for sale. You put your truck up for sale. You put your kids' toys up for sale. Over the next few days, you're organizing garage sales. You're moving your family into a tiny little hotel apartment. And your kids are starting to ask your wife, "Mommy, why has Daddy gone crazy?" And this whole time, you're just laughing. You're putting everything you own up for sale. You're getting rid of all of it. The house is starting to be cleaned out. There's no fridge. There's no television. And you're just laughing. You're so happy. Because you just need to get to that $300,000 mark, and your life is never going to be the same again. And that is how much Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is worth. It's worth you selling everything to get that treasure in the field.